Well, hello. I just wanted to share a few thoughts of mine I've had. A few years back, I did a podcast and taught classes around my ideas of what a witch is. A witch is a witch is a witch. And I explored these ideas and what really is a witch. And honestly, I think the answer to that question should continue evolving throughout our lives because our magic evolves as we evolve. And what spoke to me in my maiden years shift over in my mother years. And now as I move deeper into my crone years, I find myself craving something much more grounded, human, embodied, and real. Less performance. Um, I don't have the energy, and maybe that's a gift in crone years. And it's more presence. I've just returned home from leading another wild journey through Ireland with a beautiful group of women. And I just shared a video there, and I want to just deepen that message a little bit here more. And and in those videos, I touched on that, you know, you'd almost forget when watching them that this was a witchy tour because there wasn't anything elaborate that was shared, like no elaborate rituals every day. There's no constant performances, no one trying to look all mystical and magical all the time. I was just trying to keep my hair from being frizzy all the time, which didn't happen. Mostly it was wild hair and hiking boots, definitely hiking boots, rain jackets, always rain jackets. Um, Wind-blown hair, yeah. And our time together is a lot of storytelling, tons of laughter on the bus. It was learning about the history or her story of the land, touching ancient stones, making offerings when it felt right. And again, quietly communing. It wasn't just a grand gesture, it was a quiet gesture from the heart to the nature spirits of the land. And honestly, I love that. I love it so much. It's so rich because, over the years, my understanding of witchcraft has softened. It's definitely deepened and become more tangible, human. And I think sometimes people hear the word witch, they immediately picture those stereotypes or aesthetics before they think about the heart path it of itself. We imagine someone standing dramatically under the full moon, and their white clothing, looking beautiful with candles and smoke and crystal jewelry. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like my crystal jewelry. And all those things are absolutely beautiful and meaningful, and I do appreciate them, and I have used them. I think just somewhere along the way, we forgot that witches were once the wise keepers of the community. They were everyday souls. They were the healers, the herbalists, the midwives, the folk medicine, um, the the medicine keepers, the storytellers, the people who understood the rhythms of the land and the language of nature. And most importantly, they lived their spirituality. It wasn't separate from their everyday life. It wasn't saved for a certain phase. Their spirituality was woven into how they cooked, how they loved, how they buried their dead, how they planted their gardens and cared for their neighbors, and how they watched the weather, and how they listened to the whispers of their intuition moving quietly throughout their body. That to me is real witchcraft. It's not performance, not perfection. Oh no. Oh no. It's not aesthetics for the sake of appearances, but it's a relationship. Uh, a relationship with yourself, definitely with nature and nature within. It's a relationship with spirit and the divinity within ourselves as well. It's a relationship with community. relationship with the unseen currents moving beneath everyday life. And honestly, one of the greatest teachings from this Ireland journey was being reminded how much magic lives inside ordinary moments when we are awake enough to notice them. You know, it's not just sacred sites. Not sacred moments aren't just during rituals, but it's in those in-between spaces, you know, the mundane. It's in those conversations we had on the bus. It's sharing a meal together. It's sharing the weather or a magical rainbow and just celebrating it. It's in our laughter, and it's in our exhaustion as well. It's about being adaptable. It was the moments where plans changed and we had to surrender. It's the moments where someone needed support and everyone naturally stepped forward to help. That is magic. And on this journey, we had sisters who actually became quite unwell during the trip. And what deeply moved me was not frustration or inconvenience, but watching women instinctively caring for one another with teas, with their remedies, with their medicines they had, with offering food, gentleness, encouragement, humor, and presence. And even the women who were sick, they still found so much beauty in the journey. They still showed up with gratitude and light and openness. This is sacred to me because real witchcraft is often far less glamorous than people imagine. Real witchcraft is learning how to stay present in uncomfortable moments. It is learning how to find the beauty while standing in the rain. It is learning how to remain open-hearted while navigating personalities, navigating exhaustion and uncertainty, delays or disappointments. You know, it's understanding that sacred does not disappear simply because life becomes inconvenient. In fact, some of the deepest wisdom often arrives through discomfort. And I think that's something we desperately need to remember in modern spirituality, because many people have been taught to chase only high vibrations, perfect rituals, perfect aesthetics, or peak mystical experiences, while forgetting that the old paths their ancestors walked were earthy, very practical, simple, embodied, and deeply woven into their real life. A witch wasn't someone escaping life. They just couldn't. A witch was someone fully inside it. And maybe that's why this path feels so much more approachable to me now. And because it doesn't require perfection, it requires presence. Presence. I just feel like we need to breathe that in, and breathe that out. It asks you to begin paying attention, to trust that first whisper of intuition before the world talks you out of it. It's to notice how your body responds to places, to people, to energy, to experiences. It's spending time in nature, not just as scenery, but as a relationship. To speak to the trees, to greet the land, to sit quietly long enough to feel the spirit of the place, because it carries a spirit. It's leaving offerings with deep gratitude. And it's to walk slowly enough that you notice the birds, feel the wind, the changing of the seasons in one day. You know, the earth is always communicating with us. She is communicating with us. And no, I don't necessarily mean booming voices from the forest. I think sometimes people overcomplicate spirit connection. Often it's much quieter than that. It's a feeling, it's a pull, it's a knowing, a deep sense of connection. I am home. It's a moment you suddenly feel peace standing beside the ocean. It's the feeling that comes when clouds part at just the right time. It's the inner voice that says, pause here. It's the goosebumps or the truth bumps. It's the tears that arrive unexpectedly. That sense that life is speaking to you all the time if you just slow down enough to listen. And the beautiful thing is, this kind of magic belongs to everyone. You do not need expensive tools. There's no need to memorize complicated rituals. No need to look a certain way. I just can care less these days, I'm telling you. I'm just, again, magic of crone years. And it's really simply beginning where you are at, right here, right now. You are in perfect time. And you can practice magic, at any moment. It's in stirring your morning tea with intention. You can bless your home while cleaning it, lighting a candle for someone you love, placing your hands on a tree and breathing into it. All through Ireland, there was all these ribbons tied at these sacred trees, these holy wells, but, they're made out of synthetic materials, and, that's not a gift. That's not honoring nature. That's not magic, but a prayer, a breath to the tree holds so much more power. It's thanking the water, your water, before drinking it. Magic is speaking lovingly over your own body. It's when you notice the moon in any of her phases. And it's watching the birds. Gosh, they love to speak to you. And you can trust your intuition the next time it whispers instead of dismissing it. These small acts matter. The old ways were never truly about performances. They were about remembrance. And honestly, one of the most beautiful things about this Ireland journey that I was seeing women of all ages walking together, the maiden, mother, and crone, from the 20-year-olds to the 7-year-olds, and each carrying different wisdoms, different wounds, different stories, and yet somehow creating this rare and beautiful sense of belonging together. Not perfect, but real. And I think real magic has always lived there, not in pretending to be mystical, but in becoming deeply alive. Because real magic is setting your day's intention while brushing your teeth. Real magic is surrounding your loved ones with light before they leave the house. Real magic is kissing your children's boo-boos better. Real magic is stirring love into a simple meal. Real magic is unpainted nails, messy hair, hiking boots, exhaustion, tears, laughter, and still showing up fully as yourself. Real magic is remembering the folk wisdom of our ancestors. Real magic is heartfelt, it is grounded, it is simple, it is approachable. And maybe the real question isn't, are you a witch? Maybe the question is, are you willing to live awake? Are you willing to notice the sacred woven through ordinary life? Because I truly believe this path often feels less like becoming something new and more like remembering something ancient within yourself. It's a coming home. And no, there is no perfect way to walk this path. A witch's journey is organic, is spiraled, it's ever changing, it's sometimes wild, it's sometimes quiet, it's sometimes deeply mystical, and sometimes incredibly boring and ordinary. But it's always alive. And perhaps that is the deepest magic of all. Those are my thoughts, you know? Anyways, I am a witch, sacred and true, walking this path with ease and grace. The natural world fills my heart and soul. I will reflect, I will grow, I will connect with it all. Air, fire, water, and earth, watch as I rebirth. A witch is a witch is a witch. Thank you for joining me. And if you enjoyed this conversation, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a comment, or share the video with someone who might need these reminders as well. I'm planning on sharing more of these little teachings, stories, reflections, rituals, or little tidbits along the way here on the YouTube channel. And as it continues ever evolving, my magical path. And yeah, I just appreciate you being here. So thank you so much for being here and for listening and for walking alongside with me. And until next time, blessed be. Mwah!